Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast that comes to you from strife-torn Ukraine. I'm Gaurav Sawant. This special broadcast comes to you from Kyiv, the heart of Ukraine, the capital of Ukraine. And over the course of the next 1 hour, we get you an unprecedented 360-degree view of the conflict in battleground Ukraine. I will be joined by India Today's Shweta Singh, Geeta Mohan and Rajesh Pawar to get you details of day 11 of the battle in battleground Ukraine. The Russian armed forces are systematically targeting not just Kharkiv but multiple locations very close to the Ukrainian capital Kyiv. There have been attacks in Irpin. Before that there were attacks in two other pockets very close to Kyiv. Now this battle on day 11 is moving eerily close and scaringly close to Kyiv. Several shoulders have been targeted. Air defense assets have been targeted. The Russian forces are relentlessly now marching forward, perhaps waiting for that final instruction for the targeting of the Ukrainian capital Kyiv. We bring you the ground report on the situation in Kyiv and around Ukraine.
Airstrikes, shellings, residential buildings on fire. Captured cities reduced to rubble. Thick smoke engulfing from buildings. Ukraine is bleeding. One of the worst hit cities is Kharkiv. Attacks by Russian troops have left numerous buildings burning and some in ruins. A market brimming with people till a month ago is now charred. In what looks like the aftermath of an airstrike, northern city of Ukraine, Chernihiv, houses witnessed massive fire, with several houses getting destroyed completely. The battle for the Ukrainian capital goes ballistic. A video released by Ukraine shows badly damaged buildings after a Russian airstrike in the suburbs of capital Kyiv. But the civilians have rolled up their sleeves and taken to the streets to prepare roadblocks, hedgehogs, metal spikes planted to block the Russian troops. Russian troops have taken control over the city of Skastia in the Luhansk region. The scenes in the city are that of devastation and destruction. Hostomel, that witnessed destruction of world's largest aircraft, had a fresh fire in its building after a possible Russian airstrike. Messages of hatred, disgust and intense anger paint Ukraine's billboards. Those who come at us with a sword will die by a sword. Now all hopes of peace pinned on the third round of talks scheduled on Monday. But will there be a headway? Will a safe passage for civilians be agreed upon? Will the bloodbath on streets come to an end? Bureau Report, India Today.
I found complete devastation and mayhem in Irpin. There were tanks firing, there was firing from the missiles, multi-barrel rocket launchers, and from this side, the Ukrainian army was firing with the Javelin missiles onto the Russian tanks. Here is an exclusive from the war zone, a world exclusive for you.
The city that has seen maximum airstrikes in Ukraine so far. The city that continues to bear the brunt of Russian shelling.
Shit!
Russia's non-stop aerial bombardment on the city of Irpin, just 25 kilometers from Ukraine's capital Kyiv. India Today reports amidst the airstrikes and bombardment.
It's very close. It was just on top of us. Everybody on the ground. Everybody on the ground there. Bomb very close to us is fell down. Everybody's on the ground. Everybody's on the ground here. And this very close. It's like just a few meters away. Everybody's on the ground running now. Continuous firing taking place. Continuous firing taking place. Continuous firing taking place. This bomb just... It's very close. It's very close, and that bombing is coming closer to us. Everybody's running now to take place. The cars, whatever they have, panic everywhere. Even militia and military is running. Everybody is running now. All vehicles leaving. Panic everywhere. Bombs falling very close. There is smoke rising from everywhere. There's a big bloom of black smoke that side. Then there is smoke this side, and then here. These are the places, and there's a BMV coming, an infantry tank vehicle coming, I think, from the border where the fighting is taking place right now. There is black smoke emanating from all these buildings, all this area where the fighting is taking place. Thick bloom, that side of the black smoke, and from the city, many places, and this is where attack is taking place, and I'm being warned to run away from this place. Firing taking place, bombs are blasting, and these are civilians running from this area who are left behind. There's black smoke rising there in the buildings, and the bombs are being fired, tanks are firing onto the buildings here, and these are civilians which are evacuating this area. They are evacuating this area in hurry, they are running around, and these are people who are left behind, and now they are fleeing the area. Continuous firing is taking place, and black smoke is rising from the buildings in the background. There's a rocket fire everywhere, and this is in Irpin right now. Continuous firing from both sides is going on. Since we came here, it's continuous firing by rockets and by tanks, and whatever civilians were left, they're fleeing this area. Buses have been placed. Black smoke is rising there from the buildings.
Irpin, a city neighboring Kyiv, has been left in ruins in many places after being bombed by Russian Sukhoi Su-25 jets as well as cruise missiles.
Bucha district, that's it in Bucha district. That's Bucha district, and there we are. Smoke's just, this is where it fell just now. You see the smoke rising just 50 meters from here. That's where the bomb fell right now. 50 meters from here, if you can see, that's where the round has hit, the rocket has hit right now.
Citizens are evacuating from Irpin as fire, fear and flares grip the city.
The most affected in the war are the old, elderly, and at this age they have to leave their house and move out. This old woman is barely able to walk, but this is the tragedy of war. They have to leave their houses and move out now. And right now these bombs are falling inside the city. Yes. And the Russian soldiers
they shot people, houses, mini houses, towers, everything.
Where will you go now? Where will you go now?
I don't know.
They think that it's stopped and we just sit and continue sitting, but now it's...
They thought this war will not last for too long. Maybe it will get over 1 or 2 days. So they continued staying home till the time shelling started around their head. Did you hear shells fall, bombs fall on the house?
Вы слышали, как падали бомбы?
Many. And he is the grandson of this old man. Why did you stay back? Why you did not leave the house when the bombing started?
Because there is no people who gonna evacuate us, and we're sitting with them, etc. And we're still waiting our grandfather because he is sitting in Gostomel. It's near to Irpin too, but with other side. And for 3 days he don't come to Romanka, and we're still waiting for today when he can go with us.
And you look like normal. You're laughing and smiling. Is it normal? Is it okay?
Yeah, because in the war you need to find positive. There is negative.
I agree. You need to find positive in the war as well. These are civilians escaping now, just firing, and whoever left over there, they are escaping now with whatever they have in a panic, and they'll be put into this bus. The old man, he is also leaving. Look, everybody's leaving. The people who stayed back behind, now they're being helped by. Bus full of people who are left there, left behind. We are 1 kilometer away from where the fighting is taking place between the Russian forces and the Ukrainian forces, and this is the last checkpoint of the militia here. There's a bomb blast. You can hear the bombs are being fired, the rockets are being fired, and these are civilians which are being evacuated by the militia in this area. These are all the civilians which are fleeing this area, now being evacuated by the militia, and this whole area is swarming with people with weapons in civil dress, some of them black dresses, and they're all militia. Army is a kilometer ahead from here, and we can hear the rockets firing or the tanks firing on each other. These are buses which have been placed to take the civilians away, and all of them, all these people are fleeing this area who stayed back for whatever reason are now leaving the area because intense fighting is taking place in this place, and this is Irpin.
On day 11 of the invasion, one of the most visible aspects of the military operation, the fury being unleashed on the city of Irpin. With Rajesh Pawar in Irpin, Ukraine, Bureau Report, India Today.
My colleague Geeta has been tracking all the developments in the Kyiv war zone.
Putin's forces may have launched Mission Blackout Ukraine after taking over 2 nuclear sites, that of Chernobyl and Zaporizhia. Now they're looking at a 3rd nuclear site, that of Yasnokrayansk, 120 kilometers from Mykolaiv. The plan is to throttle supplies that keep the lights burning in Ukraine in order to browbeat this challenged nation under siege.
One of the most mysterious images in 11 days of the invasion of Ukraine. Russian tanks surrounding the site of Chernobyl nuclear disaster. The world wondered what Russia wanted with the ghosts of the world's worst nuclear accident, especially when Ukraine has 4 active and functional nuclear power facilities. Hours after the capture, it was revealed that the Chernobyl site is still staffed and maintained, given it is still hugely sensitive and strategic. And Putin settled any lingering doubts a week later when his forces surrounded and shelled Ukraine's Zaporizhia nuclear facility, Europe's largest. Amidst the cat-and-mouse and claim war, the facility is now almost certainly in Russian hands. With Zaporizhia under Russian control, Putin's forces are now said to be approaching a 3rd nuclear facility in Ukraine. The Yasnokrayansk nuclear power plant, 120 kilometers from Mykolaiv, a city which itself has been besieged by Russian forces. The 2 other nuclear facilities at Kaminsky and Irpin are not besieged yet, but could be on target too.
This is systematic targeting of nuclear assets, and God forbid if one of the 6 nuclear reactors was hit, even if by a misfire of a missile or a rocket, the impact would have been 10 times worse than Chernobyl. And the fact that President Zelensky is saying that Russia knows the coordinates and Russia is going after these targets deliberately.
By taking control of Ukraine's nuclear facilities, which supply over half of Ukraine's electricity and power needs, is President Putin looking to throttle the country into submission, with the ability to thrust vast areas of the country into darkness.
If Russia says that they do not want to impact and affect civilians, then this could mean a lot of impact in terms of casualties because of the weather here in Ukraine. Secondly, they've taken over very important key nuclear installations. I was speaking to somebody who keeps a keen watch on what's really happening on the ground and on these facilities, and he said that if anything were to happen to key installations on the east end of Ukraine, it will not just impact Ukraine, it is going to impact Russia.
We are now all not calm and asking and frightened. Please, it will take not only about the Ukrainian disaster, but it will take the whole world into this conflict.
The capture of Ukraine's nuclear facilities runs parallel to a steady escalation in nuclear temperatures between Russia and NATO.
I ordered Defense Minister and Chief of the General Staff to put Russian Army deterrence forces on high combat alert.
With Moscow saying it has put its nuclear forces on high alert in response to statements from Ukraine that NATO was getting directly involved in the war. If global heat over the crisis isn't already super high, sections of Russian media have added fuel to the nuclear fire with the sensational suggestion that the United States has secretly supplied Ukraine with weapons-grade plutonium, helping it mine uranium, and looking to turn Ukraine into a nuclear weapons nation.
Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant is the biggest in Europe and the biggest in Ukraine. And so if something bad could happen to the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, it would be a problem not only about Ukraine, it will be a problem in Russia too.
Is the world headed towards a major geopolitical meltdown with the nuclear shockwaves between Kyiv and Moscow? With Gaurav Sawant and Geeta Mohan in Kyiv, Bureau Report, India Today.
My colleague Shweta has been tracking every angle of the Russian invasion here in the war zone.
We're next to the TV tower in Kyiv, which took a Russian airstrike. Russia has relentlessly moved forward in that direction, with the troops facing little or no resistance at places, though there are reports of Ukrainians actually standing their ground and giving a tough fight to the Russians as well. But here we decode some of the fighter jets that the Russians are using.
Heart-stopping images of a Russian airstrike caught on camera. The first footage of an actual aerial bombing in 11 days of a conflict that's been represented largely by ground attacks. But only an hour after the bombing of Irpin went out on India Today, this stunning 32-second clip capturing a Russian attack helicopter being shot down by a Ukrainian shoulder-fired missile exploded from the battlefield north of Kyiv. In the last 48 hours, the air power aspect has taken on a fearsome new primacy, with aircraft much more visible and claims of Russian pilots taken captive. Both Ukraine and Russia have been old Soviet aviation powerhouses, and the war has generated enormous interest in the warbirds both countries have deployed over their blazing battlefields. The most visible Russian aircraft in the Ukraine crisis is the Sukhoi Su-25, a tough old Soviet-era bird that's taken on most attack duties.
Let me show you what these aircraft are that are doing the bombing and that the Ukrainians claim that they've actually shot down. These are strikes very close to Kyiv. The jet dropping the bombs is called a Sukhoi 25. It's a Sukhoi Su-25. It's a ground strike aircraft. It is designed for close air support to ground forces, and there are huge ground forces of the Russian army that's, outside on the outskirts of Kyiv right now. These aircraft are designed and capable of low-altitude bombings. That's why you saw them captured so clearly on mobile camera. Their weapons include strike missiles, bombs, rockets. They've so far been used in many, many different operations around the world, including and most notably in Afghanistan, Syria, Iraq, and Sudan, but of course in many other operations, including in North Africa as well.
The most visible Russian helicopter in the war is the Mi-24. Seen here being dramatically shot down by a Ukrainian shoulder-fired missile. These are sturdy, heavily armed and armored helicopters deployed to support ground troops and destroy tanks and other ground targets. The Mi-24's export variant, the Mi-35, is in service with the Indian Air Force too. The third Russian aircraft type seen in the skies over Ukraine is the Sukhoi Su-34, a supersonic medium-range fighter bomber used for tactical strikes in contested airspace. Su-34s have been seen in the air over eastern and north Ukraine. The other Russian attack helicopter on combat duties in Ukraine is the Kamov Ka-52. These images of one such helicopter made to force land went viral in the early days of the invasion. Several more are set to be flying sorties in the northern border. Also clearly visible in the skies over Ukraine are Russian Mi-8 utility helicopters captured here in this airborne assault on the Hostomel air base north of Kyiv in the early days of the invasion. These workhorse helicopters are a precursor to the Mi-17 that India currently operates. Ukraine has made the huge claim that its air defense systems have shot down 2 giant Il-76 transport jets, though there has been no visual proof of this. While the iconic Russian Tu-95 hasn't been seen in the skies over Ukraine or even nearby, the high-flying propeller-driven aircraft has figured in the war of claims between both sides, with Ukraine saying its air defense forces have managed to shoot down one of these giant airplanes. As air power becomes more pronounced in Ukraine, and as NATO continues to refuse Ukraine's plea for the imposition of a no-fly zone, could airstrikes define the second week of Putin's invasion? With Rajesh Pawar in Irpin and Gaurav Sawant and Geeta Mohan in Kyiv, Bureau Report, India Today.
And now it is over to Gaurav for the more real-time updates.
Russia may well and truly be in control of pockets of Ukraine, but the squeeze around Kyiv is one part of the story. There is a squeeze that even the Russians are feeling. It's not just economic pressure that the world is mounting, but the world is also going after oligarchs, their properties, their yachts, their aircraft. Several brands have decided to move out or at least suspend their operations in Russia, at least as of now, whether it's Louis Vuitton or Zara and several others. The fact remains, unless the Russian President Vladimir Putin can deliver results and quickly, the squeeze may just be on Russia in the days and weeks ahead.
All-out Russian attack bleeding Ukraine. But away from the death, destruction and fire, Moscow is silently bleeding too. While Putin is not personally hit, punitive global sanctions and business boycotts have begun to bite. Russians no longer have access to global super luxury apparel brands. British car maker Bentley, American brands Ford and Coca-Cola are no longer operating in Russia. Global furniture brand IKEA, which shut its shop, saw a massive rush at its outlets in Moscow on the last day of operation, as Russians rushed to own whatever was available. Russian banks are rushing to switch to Chinese card systems. In a rare move, Singapore also sanctioned 4 big Russian banks.
Actually, every day, every morning breaks some news, some bad news for all Russians and for all Ukrainian people, because the economic pressure from the West continues to Russia. And for example, today all Russians woke up to the announcement by Visa and MasterCard that their cards won't won't be legal in Russia very soon, and that Visa and MasterCard would withdraw from Russian market, and that our cards won't work outside of Russia. So everybody is like in panic.
Putin's alleged cronies, the Russian super-rich, are fearing the loss of their yacht and private jets, as well as the freezing of their asset, as Western democracies try and exert pressure, hitting out at oligarchs to make Putin pay for his misadventure in Ukraine. India today has now gained access to the seized Lady M, the super yacht of Russian oligarch Alexei Mordashov. The super luxury yacht is now moored in Imperia.
We are in the harbor, and this behind me is the $65 million yacht of Alexei Mordashov, one of the richest oligarchs of Russia. It's a 52 meters boat, and its name is Lady M, in honor of his wife. This is one of the yachts that has been taken by European authorities following the sanctions imposed to Russian millionaires.
Russia's state-affiliated media also reported rising hate against Russian installations abroad. Vandals allegedly threw blue and yellow paint at this Russian community center in Vancouver, Canada. Bureau Report, India Today.
India Today's coverage continues from Ground Zero. Remember, Shweta Singh, Geeta Mohan, Rajesh Pawar and I, along with Pavan Kumar and Mohsin, will continue to report from Ground Zero as this battle intensifies. You can continue to hear the roar of these rockets overhead. We will be reporting from Ground Zero, but that is all I have for you on this special broadcast from Kyiv, Ukraine. Many thanks for watching. For all the latest news and updates, stay with India Today.
And India Today has been relentlessly getting you all haunting images from day one of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Remember, today is the 11th day. One by one, let's take a look at the sort of images and visuals that are coming in from Ground Zero. Now, the Russia-Ukraine war has intensified on day 11. The northern city of Ukraine, Chernihiv, has witnessed a massive fire with several houses destroyed completely after an airstrike. These images on your screen prove the gush of black smoke coming out of burnt houses. Now, another turbulent night, meanwhile, in Kharkiv. Fresh airstrikes were carried out in the city, resulting in several buildings that have caught fire. One image on your screen. Now, there is another city, Belgorod. It is a Russian city 40 kilometers north of the border with Ukraine that also witnessed a massive explosion. This visual on your screen shows the site of what residents of the city woke up to. But it's the fourth image of the northern city of Ukraine, Chernihiv again, that is witnessing a massive fire in the wee hours of Saturday after intense shelling by the Russian forces. Several houses, residential properties completely gutted and destroyed. But it's the massive fire in many buildings in Hostomel after a possible Russian airstrike on the city. Remember, earlier an Antonov AN-225, the world's largest plane, was also destroyed in shelling at the Hostomel airport. Our defining image in number 6 comes as this visual on your screen showing the drone shot of the Russian military deployed in the southern city of Ukraine, Kherson. Take a look at the military deployment there by Russia. But the aftermath in this image, mass destruction captured on the drone camera from the eastern town of Ukraine, Shastia in Luhansk. This image shows several high-rise buildings completely destroyed and collapsed. The war and the aftermath of it. This is the image number 7. Image number 8 is about smoke, flame and flare. How the city of Irpin looked before sunrise. Intense overnight firing led to mass destruction. Take a look. All you can see is a plume of smoke and fire emanating from Irpin. But it's the residential properties that are also being witnessed to be gutted in fire in Ukraine's second largest city, Kharkiv, on Saturday. After non-stop attacks by the Russian forces, Kharkiv still continues to suffer massive damages. Meanwhile, Ukraine shares a video of shooting down, as they claim, a Russian Mi-35 chopper near Kyiv city on Saturday in what looks like a Stinger missile hitting the military chopper. It bursts into flame and explodes as it hits the ground. Now remember, 11 days on, the war is still on. I'm heading into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. Our continuous coverage from the ground zero in Ukraine continues after a short break. Thank you.